All right, Godlings, my light broke, but whatever, we can get through this, right? Now I'm watching This Old House, and they're doing childproofing and stuff, and I look back at the time when my son's 18 now, he's graduated, he's in college, but I remember when he was a kid, and we had a fair amount of, like the normal, regular childproofing stuff. Like stuff for doorknobs, and not to open a cabinet where there's chemicals. We had gates, so he couldn't go over something, fall. We weren't anywhere real high up, but we had, a few stairs for a little kid is a lot, right? But we had the gate, we had, I had the plugs for the outlets. We had that. And I remember I had to make one because we didn't have one for it. And I'll get back to that later, okay? Now, as I'm looking at them do this, now I look back on all the childproofing stuff that we had, and the only thing that really come in handy, I remember, was the gate. Because he didn't go stick weird shit in the sockets, okay? I heard these stories before I was a parent, right? And now I was one of those kids. And now I'll explain some psychology behind this, okay? If you tend to your child and give them appropriate things to put in their mouths or to fiddle with, they don't need to go and stick weird shit in light sockets. They don't need to go fiddle with other stuff. They don't need to put weird shit in their mouths to satisfy themselves, okay? Now, his mother and I, we did really good on that. We made sure he had appropriate things to put in his mouth at appropriate times, like, the teething rings and they're teething. We had those frozen ones, right? And so he had that to put in his mouth, and grapes or, appropriate food. So he didn't go and put weird shit in his mouth. He never done that. He never stuck his finger in the light socket. I think one time he was at school and done something. That's a different story. But I don't remember having a problem with him getting a bunch of stuff and creating havoc, like all these parents expect to happen, right? So going back to the one thing I had to make, okay? And it wasn't a safety feature. It was a non-annoyance feature. We had a TV. It was a big TV, but it was set back and far enough where he couldn't pull it. There was no way he could pull it off on himself. So that wasn't the problem, okay? The problem was he come in and it was just high enough where he could turn it on. And he'd run out the room. And I'd be walking around doing stuff, part around the house. I go in there, the TV's on. So I turn it off. And the little booger, he'd come in and turn it back on and run back out. I caught him a couple times. Hey! So I had to get creative. And I'm like, well, how am I going to stop him from doing this? Right? Now, we still had the remote. So what I did is I took a 2-liter cat bottle and I put a little screw right. It was the old, tube style TVs, right? So it had the TV and there was a base. So there was a crease right where the base meets the TV. So I took right over the power button, I put that, and I strategically placed that cap over it, and I screwed that thing right in there. Now, we can still use the remote, and we put that where he couldn't get it, right? But he come in after I'd done that, he tried to turn it on, he goes, "Yeah!" He ran out. I was like, "Yeah, I fixed your little ass, didn't I?" Funny kid story time. But yeah, anyway, yeah, my son didn't do all that. He didn't put weird shit in his mouth. That was the only thing I remember. And I brought it up a few years ago. He was 3, 5, something like that. And I brought up I don't know, several years ago, 5, 7 years ago. He said, "Yeah, I used to just to irritate you." Well, you little snot. That's funny. Funny kid story time, But yeah, I had to think outside the box with the TV one. It wasn't nothing that was going to hurt anybody. The worst it was going to do is it runs up your electric bill a little bit, but I usually found it time to not have that be an issue, But it's just an annoyance. So what the heck? You turn it on. I don't mind. I didn't mind if he turned it on and was sitting there watching it. I'm like, okay, if you're going to sit here and watch it. But he would just come in and turn it on and run out the door. And he'd do it. I'm like, what? So I was getting upset with him. I was like, well, we can keep going through this and I can keep getting upset with him over and over again, or I can figure out something different. So I did. But yeah, it's funny. I did that first time he come on and tried to turn on, he goes, ran out. Funny kid story time.